Morning class, my name is Leo Corcoran and we are gang.
I'm Christopher Aure.
I'm Norman Maestas.
Alright, this was case 5, Yuhan-Kimberly. It's pages 523 through 530 in the book. Okay, so I'm going to highlight some of the products that Yuhan-Kimberly sells. They are basically a disposable bathroom supply company, if you can put it in light terms. Toilet paper, facial tissue, feminine napkins, baby diapers, and also a small product line called Green Finger, which we'll get into later. One of their competitors is Procter & Gamble, which obviously they are competing with diapers, facial tissue, same thing, toilet paper, feminine napkins, and that is one of their big competitors. Their primary target market is women and men, environmentally conscious women and men that want companies that are active in this type of organizational business. One of the big things about their environmentally conscious kind of hypocrisy is that they make disposable paper products. So when they're part of these environmentally conscious acts, some people are more willing to buy it from them because they give back to it. They're also, their target market is quality-driven customers because they need products that are going to work well. Obviously, if they're going to be using them for tissues and feminine napkins and toilet paper, you would want products that work well as well. Promotional strategy. So they had a lot about this in the case study. Their P&G had their own ad for a feminine napkin called Whisper, and it was very edgy, kind of too much at the time. It was around the 1985-ish to 1990s, and it was kind of a crazy ad at the time, while as Yuhan-Kimberly had an ad that was more conservative, more on focusing on quality. So they used college students and different types of testimonials that would actually emphasize the product's quality rather than being edgy or being kind of out there. Public relations strategy. So public relations strategy, in 1987, they had a joint venture with an American company called Kimberly-Clark, and Kimberly-Clark partnered up with Yuan, which was a company at the time, and made Yuhan-Kimberly. That makes, they were kind of driven, which we'll speak about later, by governmental kind of pushing and pressuring, but we'll get into that later. Their public relations strategy is largely about corporate social responsibility through their Keep Korea Green campaign, which we'll also get into later, but these are some pictures from the Keep Korea Green campaign. The top right one is an ad about Keep Korea Green in 1985. That was the ad that launched, and it's saying, hey, we're going to reforest the Korea's mountainsides. And the one on the bottom left is from 1985, and the one on the bottom right is actually from current day, about 2013. So they actually need to trim these trees and do maintenance on these trees because of how large the forest has gotten. Distribution and supply chain strategy is actually kind of interesting. Since they partnered up with the Kimberly-Clark, the American company, they partnered up because of their governmental issues. They were not able to, or they didn't want to curry favor with the government, because all of these smaller local businesses at the time were currying favor with them. They ended up thinking, you know what we can do? We can partner up with an American company, because if we're partnered with an American company, it'll be harder to bully us. So they partnered up with Kimberly-Clark, made Yuhan-Kimberly, and what they got out of that was probably a lot, because at the time they were a small manufacturing business, and once Kimberly-Clark entered the picture, they had all of the manufacturing technologies that Kimberly-Clark had to offer.
Hello, and here with the situation analysis, I'm basically coming up with 3 points. One is internal, second is consumer, and external. This is basically a general overview of what my partner just mentioned, but internal is basically the management and any strategic decisions that are made into the company that may change their situation. Right now, the situation is that they're prospering, but they're getting new competition from P&G. They're also their green initiative in Korea is 30 years old and a success. And the only issues would be political or mismanagement or competition from the outside. But internal would be just management. Consumer is an issue only because of the population boom and the 2.0 initiative. So if the consumer base falls, overall revenues will drop. If the consumer volume or the population growth is there, then they'll have to try and keep up with existing facilities or expand. And in external, again, it's P&G and the government, and whether they can sustain their success with a social responsibility initiative of Go Green Korea, and of course whether the population starts expanding into out of the Seoul where the majority of the population is and starts going into their protective forest, and they might have to deal with that.
Hey guys, it's Chris. I'm going to talk to you guys about the SWOT analysis of Yuhan-Kimberly. To begin, I'll start with the strengths. Yuhan-Kimberly is one of the oldest companies in Korea. They date back to 1926, so they have long brand recognition. Il-han-nu, Yuan's founder, was one of the best businessmen in Korea. The public of Korea found them to be one of the best businessmen with great business acumen. Yuhan's Corporation's founder, was held in high esteem for his business acumen, his contributions to Korean self-sufficiency, and his generosity. So basically, Il-han was one of Korea's best businessmen. Yuhan Corporation got a joint venture with Kimberly-Clark, which is one of the leading manufacturers of personal care. So they were able to manufacture more personal care products at cheaper costs. Yuhan Corp has care about social well-being, so it gives better public relations and believes that social responsibility to the center of quality of life of its employees. So basically, Yuhan-Kimberly really cares about their employees, so their employees really want to work for them really hard. They have a family-friendly management programs, which basically is flexible work schedules, lifelong learning, and non-gender bias, maternity protections, and employee assistance programs. It really has family-friendly management programs, which allow employees to have flexible work schedules, lifelong learning, non-gender bias, maternity protections, and employee assistance programs and volunteer opportunities, which allows for the employees of Yuhan-Kimberly to want to work for their company. They also have the Keep Korea Green campaign, which helps improve public standing and made them rank first for goodwill in consumer surveys in 2002. And in 2007, Yuhan-Kimberly was perceived as the most eco-friendly corporation in Korea, beating out larger companies such as Samsung. Now I'll go on to the weaknesses. They care about social well-being, which could cause them to waste money on charity rather than invest in themselves. They're expected to keep Korea Green campaign going, which causes more pressure onto the company. They need to find balance between keeping corporate social responsibility campaigns and producing new product lines. Now let's speak about the opportunities. They have a joint venture with Kimberly-Clark, one of the biggest manufacturing companies for personal care products. In 1980, Korea had a birth rate of 4.0. Because of that, Yuhan-Kimberly started to manufacture Huggy diapers because of this. The Korean culture is high on personal cleanliness, so they have a lot to exploit in the personal hygiene. I'll talk about the threats now. Yuhan Corporation is one of the oldest corporations in Korea, so some consumers may have negative presumptions about this company. The government in Korea in the 1970s, led by Jung-hee Park, was a communist leader and gave Yuhan Corporation trouble. Procter & Gamble entered the South Korean market in 1989 and was one of the biggest competitors that they have. Their Keep Korea Green campaign leaves both the public and stakeholders of Yuhan-Kimberly skeptical and dumbfounded about why a hygiene company would embark in an environmental protection campaign. Also, yellow dust, an environmental factor that occurs in northern East Asia and sometimes in the western United States, the yellow dust would blow throughout the cities, causing health concerns for the public. It became increasingly difficult to separate the authentic Keep Korea Green campaigns from fake ones because many Korean companies started coming onto the environmental protections campaigns for their marketing platforms. Environmentalist groups saw that the campaign as a cynical way to compensate for serious environmental damage caused by both production and disposable paper products of Yuhan-Kimberly. And recently, Korea's birth rate has dropped to 1.2. Developing competitive advantage. Yuhan-Kimberly has created a competitive advantage for itself because it was first in market for the Korean personal hygiene market. Furthermore, Yuhan-Kimberly positioned themselves as the first and most environmentally friendly company in Korea. Yuhan-Kimberly also has a good standing with their employees by providing them with family-friendly management, which in turn creates a more efficient and happy workforce. Marketing goals of Yuhan-Kimberly is to decide whether to launch the Birth Rate 2.0 Marketing goals and objectives of Yuhan-Kimberly is to decide whether to launch the Birth Rate 2.0 corporate social responsibility campaign or to sustain the Keep Korea Green corporate social responsibility campaign.